Amazon Pharmacy presents Painful Thoughts.
20 more minutes to kill in the pharmacy before my prescription is ready. Maybe I'll grab some deeply discounted, out-of-season Halloween candy. I never had a chocolate pumpkin with raisins before. Those were raisins, right?
Next time, use Amazon Pharmacy. We deliver. And no, those were not raisins. Amazon Pharmacy. Healthcare just got less painful.
At RxBar, they believe in simple nutrition without the BS. That's why they said no to artificial ingredients and yes to deliver intentional, transparent nutrition. Try their original 12-gram protein bar, the nut butter and oat bar, or minis. RxBar, the proud sponsor of No BS. Use code RXBAR on rxbar.com for 25% off. Subject to full terms and conditions and to change. Valid until September 30, 2025, and may not be combined with other offers. See rxbar.com for full details and limitations.
Welcome to the Covert Narcissism podcast. I'm your host, RENEE Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. Before we dive into today's episode, I just have to share something. This is something that left me completely speechless in the best way possible. So I run a Facebook group called the Covert Narcissism Group, and I say it's a team. We have a whole team of moderators now that run this group, and this group is amazing. If you're looking for a place to find the support you need when dealing with covert narcissism, this is the place. And one of our incredible members recently got a tattoo of the original CNG logo. Now, I say original, it's the one I'm still using, but it's the one I sketched by hand 8 years ago. I just drew it on a piece of paper back when this journey was just beginning. She said that the podcast and this group has been her lifeline, her solace, her everything. And you know what? That just hit me right in the heart. I mean, I remember the day that I sketched that logo on a small piece of paper. I was simply longing for connection. I just wanted, people who get it, people who knew what it felt like to walk through this fog of covert narcissistic abuse and to rise very shaky but yet very determined on the other side. This logo is just an image of people with their arms around each other. And so it's looking from the top and it's heads with these arms around each other because I so long for community and that is my drive in life. I never imagined that this would turn into a movement, a community like it has, an army, as she put it in her Facebook post. And I'm honored to be standing alongside of every one of you, every single person that's listening to this podcast or in the Facebook group. So if you're listening today and you're wondering if your healing matters, I'm going to tell you, yes, it does. If you're wondering if your voice matters, it absolutely does. You're not alone in this, and you and I are all part of something that's much bigger than we are. Keep going, keep growing, and hey, I might even join this tattoo club myself. I've never gotten a tattoo, but now I am seriously considering it. Now let's dive into today's episode. This is one of the hardest topics that I've ever talked about. One of the most requested, and especially here lately, I'm getting a lot of requests. This came from a heartfelt email that I received here recently from a listener, but I've gotten many requests on this very topic. This listener, she wrote, I wanted to ask you whether you have any support or clarity to provide regarding adult children. She says, I'm now in the process of removing myself from his web. They're still living together. And my 21-year-old daughter, who lives with us, seems to have been recruited by him, seems to have sided with him on blaming me for much of the dysfunction at home and for causing a rift between her and her dad. The writer goes on to say, I am confused and heartbroken. I don't understand, and I don't know why this has happened since I was her protective parent since day one. Now, to the brave woman who sent this to me, and to every single one of you that's walking this same devastating path, I see you. I hear the pain, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about today when the child that you protected takes the side of the abuser, of your abuser. Welcome back to the Covert Narcissism podcast, where we make sense of the senseless, like how you became the villain in this story that you tried so hard to save. Now, you were the safe parent. You showed up every day. You were the one who stayed calm when the storm hit the living room. You were the one who soothed your child when they woke up from nightmares. The one who planned the birthdays, picked up the pieces when the narcissistic parent ruined the birthdays. You made excuses and you buffered the emotional chaos that now rained down from your partner. You were the protector. I've talked about this on the podcast before. You were the peacemaker, the emotional safety net, day after day for 18 years. But now, your child, who you fought so hard for, turns on you, blames you, rewrites the story to make you the problem, and it cuts like nothing else. This shatters something deep inside of you, because this isn't just about being misunderstood. This is not just a miscommunication or an impulsive moment. It's a betrayal. It's a betrayal by someone that you love more than life itself, someone who is part of your very soul. And it's the most painful, disorienting thing on the face of this earth. And you're floundering, trying to figure it out. How did this happen? What did I do wrong? Now, let me clearly say this to you. Being the protective parent does not mean you won't be the parent they blame. And I'm sorry to say that, but there is truth in that. Just because you're the protective parent does not mean that they won't turn against you and that they won't blame you. This is unfair, 100%. It's twisted, it's backwards, it's heartbreaking, it's crushing, but it is tragically common in the aftermath of covert narcissistic abuse. So I want to try to make sense of this, because understanding the why, while it won't take the pain away, it can give you some clarity and maybe even some peace and some hope. Now, I want to tell you, please hear my words. You are not the only person being manipulated by this narcissistic partner of yours. Your kids are too. And covert narcissists, if they're experts at anything, they are experts at manipulating. They've been doing this for a very long time. They've been doing this for far longer than your relationship with them. They are subtle, strategic, and terrifyingly effective. They know exactly what to say and when to say it to look like the calm, reasonable, well-meaning person. And they know exactly how to twist your behavior into something that is reactive, erratic, and emotionally unstable, especially after they have spent years pushing your buttons behind closed doors. And they get really good at learning your buttons. They know exactly how to push them behind closed doors and then just subtle enough in front of others to get you to be the reactive person. They don't just manipulate you. They manipulate the environment, the narrative, the perception, the people around them. And when one of those people is your child or children, and especially a young adult child who is struggling with their own identity, they want answers. They're trying to make sense of this confusing home life. They're trying to get up on their own feet and become an adult, which is a hard enough transition in and of itself. And when you take a child who's in that situation, trying to get on their feet as a young adult, and you've got a covert narcissist who becomes the perfect safe parent because, again, they switch the script, they flip the narrative, and now the perception is that they are the safe parent, and that becomes who this young adult child clings to. Add to this the dynamic of this child who was raised starved for that parent's approval and attention. And finally, they're getting it. So here's the heartbreaking irony. You were the safe parent. You were the anchor. You held the line. You held the family together. You absorbed the pain. And while you did, you probably looked tired, frustrated, anxious, overwhelmed, confused. And if your child was never told the full story, they never saw the abuse, they never knew how hard you were working to protect them, then they are incredibly vulnerable to believing the narcissist version. And that's the problem. You see, covert narcissists, they're expert image managers. They often appear calm, charming, reasonable. We've talked about that a lot, especially when they compare that to an exhausted, emotionally raw parent who's been holding it together for 18 years. Covert narcissists, they also are masters at emotional triangulation. They create these loyalty binds, okay, with these kids, where siding with one parent feels like you're betraying the other. The covert narcissistic parent makes the child choose. They put them in the position to choose. While you may not be doing that, you may not be putting your child in the middle, I assure you that the covert narcissist is. And they stack the deck in their favor by playing the victim. Your mom, she just never forgave me. She always hated me and always was so reactive. I tried, but she just kept pushing me away. This isn't about me. It's really about her anger. And I say her in regards to this story being the mom, but it could just as easily be the dad. Now, let's be honest. Many of us, the ones here listening to this podcast, we didn't want to be the parent who spoke the hard truth to our kids. We didn't want to burden our children with adult problems. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's a good thing. So we stayed quiet, we swallowed our pain, and we hoped that they would just feel loved and protected. You spent years not telling your child the full story. I know I didn't. I didn't tell them what was going on behind closed doors. I didn't tell them about all the different times that I stepped in to protect them and buffer the situation and try to, create a safe environment for them in the middle of this chaos. We're protecting them from the truth about what's really going on in that home. Meanwhile, your narcissistic partner, they are busy telling their version. Their carefully crafted version, blame shifting and dripping with this false victimhood. And your child is caught in this narrative war, but only one side is writing the script. Now, this is not because you failed. You showed up for them as a parent in a way that a parent should. It's because the covert narcissist is really, really good at what they do. And you refuse to stoop to their level and throw your kids into the fire. But that's exactly what they're doing. Now, this is what I call the second betrayal. See, the first betrayal was the abuse itself. The gaslighting, the emotional abandonment, the betrayal of this person who promised to love and protect you. And it didn't happen. But this is something very different. This is the child that you tucked in at night. The one you shielded from the storms. The one you loved and cared for.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Amazon One Medical presents Painful Thoughts.
I've been on hold to make a doctor's appointment for 23 minutes now. The automated voice has told me 47 times that my call is very important to them. I'm starting to think that they don't think my call is important at all.
With Amazon One Medical 24/7 virtual care, you'll get help fast without having to remain on the line to make an appointment. Amazon One Medical. Healthcare just got less painful.
And they are now turning to you and saying, this is your fault. You're the one tearing the family apart. And that burns deep in your soul. I want to share a story of a client of mine, and we're going to call her Marie. This is the story about a woman who, she's in her late 40s. She's a devoted mother of 2, and she's someone who spent over 20 years in a covertly abusive marriage. She never raised her voice at her children. She packed their school lunches, planned their birthday parties, stayed up through the night during fevers and heartaches. She did everything she could to keep the peace. And when her husband withdrew or sulked or blamed or manipulated, she stood in the line of fire. She took it on herself silently for years. Well, she told me once, I used to tiptoe through my own home trying to figure out how to keep everyone calm. I thought if I could just be good enough, then maybe my kids wouldn't have to feel what I felt. She was trying to be the shield, the buffer between him and her kids. Now let's talk about her son. He, at the time of this, is 19, still living at home, and he's become very close to his dad. Partly out of fear because, these kids want to be close to that parent. So there's also a desire for that approval, like I mentioned a little bit ago. But then they're also afraid to ever tell that parent no, because you tell them no, there's a really high price to pay for that. And so partly they go and be a part of their hobbies and a part of their activities out of fear. They do it also out of that just desperation for the approval of this parent, the validation from this parent, and also because his dad was playing the part so well. He was calm and logical and always talking in quiet tones. Now when the kid's 19, forget what he just did for 18 years of this child's life. And now he's just saying things like, well, your mother just isn't happy. I tried everything I could, but she just wouldn't meet me halfway. Well, one day in this household, Marie set a boundary, and she said she was going to move out. She was done and she was moving out. And her son exploded at her. You're the reason that Dad's mad and angry and hurt. You're so emotional all the time. You've ruined this family. You're not my mom anymore. And he stormed out, and he didn't speak to her for days. Now, I know there are others out there listening to this that have gone through this exact thing, because I've heard this from many, many of my clients. See, what her son didn't know is that 2 years earlier, Marie had sat in a parked car outside her therapist's office, wondering if her life was still worth living. She was completely drained from the constant gaslighting, the silent treatment, the way her husband blamed her for everything all the time, and he was the one threatening to leave anytime she spoke her own thoughts and feelings. She had contemplated ending her own life, not because she wanted to die, because she was so tired of surviving. She didn't tell that to her son. She couldn't. She still wanted to protect him from how dark it had really gotten. So instead, she just nodded quietly and took, yet again, another blow. This is that second betrayal. This child, who you protected, sometimes even by lying to protect their view of the other parent. And those very lies are now being used against you. Marie told me, she said, I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake him and say, don't you see what's going on here? But she didn't. She just stood there, her heart shattered. And she realized, I can't make him see this. Not yet. There is a huge amount of grief in being miscast in this story in the eyes of our kids. You're the one holding up the house, and now you're being blamed for the cracks that are in the foundation. And what she couldn't say, because it felt like, throwing her child into the fire, was that she stayed so that he, her son, wouldn't have to choose sides. But now he did choose, and he'd chosen the wrong side. So what do you do? What do you do in this situation when your son, your daughter, is going through this very thing, and they're confused, they're looking back at their childhood and these memories are warped, they've been manipulated, they've been, shifted, and the script has been flipped back and forth, and they're trying to make sense out of this. First, I need you to hear this. Do not chase them. Do not beg them. Do not defend yourself. Do not try to force them to see. You cannot make someone see something that they're not ready to see. And it will only deepen their belief that you're unstable, that you're controlling or manipulative, which is exactly what the narcissist wants them to believe. This is exactly what the covert narcissist wants you to do. They bait you and push you and infuriate you, waiting for you to explode. They want you to beg and defend and react because this only confirms the narrative that they are planting in your child's head. So don't give them that. Don't do it. Instead, hold your line, stay steady, speak calmly. Don't defend your goodness, just live it. You may be tempted to tell your child everything, to hand them the receipts, the texts, the emails, the abuse logs. But remember, people only hear the truth when they're ready to hear it. And right now, your child may not be ready. That doesn't mean it will always be this way. It doesn't mean that the relationship is lost forever. But it does mean that you may need to play the long game with integrity, not desperation. Let your character speak for itself. Okay, if you're still living with the narcissist, like the listener who wrote this, to me, focus on the exit and your own clarity first. Try to limit exposure to this triangulation that's going on. Don't vent to your child about your partner, and don't respond to the narcissist bait. I know that's easier said than done. Get on a path of healing. Get with people who get it, okay? Get into these group sessions. Get into the Facebook group. Find the people around you that you can vent to, because you're going to need to do that. And don't put your child in that position. Give your child instead the consistent experience of your character, of your steadiness, your grace, even when you're breaking inside. Let your relationship with your child be about you and that child. No one else. No one else belongs in the space. Not the other parent, not other siblings, not your parents, not any other family members or friends. Your relationship with your child is about you and that child. And that's it. And let your character speak for itself. Yes, you can speak your truth. Don't do it in a reactive way. And please, please take care of yourself. Therapy, coaching, journaling, trauma recovery. Your healing is not dependent on your child seeing the truth. They may never see it, but you need to heal anyways. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to cry. And it's okay to hope, even if the hope feels fragile. Many of these kids do ultimately end up seeing the truth for themselves, because you let your character speak for itself, and that narcissistic person, that character's not going to go away. So let their character show up for itself when the time is right. You know that it will. And that child, your child, will see for themselves what's going on. Now, to the listener who sent this powerful, painful email, you did not imagine this pain. You are not crazy. You are not to blame. You're just trying to get out of this web. And webs, especially ones spun by covert narcissists, they're sticky, manipulative, and incredibly hard to leave. And your son or your daughter has gotten tangled in it too. That doesn't mean you failed them. It just means that the narcissist tactics are powerful. But you know what? So are you. Keep walking. Keep healing. And one day, whether soon or far from now, your child may start to see you for who you are. They'll start to see that light. And when they do, I hope that they see that your light is still shining, still steady, still loving, still present. If this episode speaks to you, I want to encourage you to stay on that path of healing. It is not an easy path. I get that. And especially when it's layered with this second betrayal of your own children. It's layered with grief, loss, complexity that most people will never see, let alone ever understand. But I see you. I get it. You're not alone in this, and you're not crazy. You are a survivor of something insidious, and your story deserves to be heard. Now, if you're looking for support specific to this painful experience where your adult child has turned against you after years of covert narcissistic abuse, I am opening a small, intimate Zoom coaching group just for you. This group is a safe space for parents who are navigating the heartbreak of feeling erased, blamed, and abandoned by the very children they protected. We will meet weekly in a confidential setting to process the grief, rebuild confidence, set boundaries with empathy, and most importantly, to heal. Spots are limited so that we can keep it personal and connected. So if this is something you need, don't miss this opportunity. Go to my website at covertnarcissism.com to learn more and reserve your place. When you go there, just click on the coaching program, and it's under there. If you're not ready for a group yet, I also offer one-on-one coaching for that deeper individualized support, and you can find that on my website as well. Until we meet, stay grounded, stay true, and remember, you deserve to be seen for the love that you gave and the truth that you're finally living. Let your character speak for itself. You have nothing to prove to anyone. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism podcast, where we break apart the insidious nature of these incredibly destructive and infinitely frustrating individuals. If you are caught up in this crazy-making relationship and drowning in self-doubt, guilt, or rumination, please reach out to me anytime. I offer individualized live coaching in both group and individual settings. We can find the right program for you. You do not need to go through this alone. You can find all of that information on my website at covertnarcissism.com. You can also reach out to me by email at RENEE, RENEE, at covertnarcissism.com. I do look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Remember, I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. I am a coach, and you are a survivor. The information provided by RENEE Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a healthcare provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. RENEE shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those that she has worked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support an allegation or support a claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and the information provided. Thank you.
Amazon Pharmacy presents Painful Thoughts.
20 more minutes to kill in the pharmacy before my prescription is ready. Maybe I'll grab some deeply discounted out-of-season Halloween candy. I never had a chocolate pumpkin with raisins before. Those were raisins, right?
Next time, use Amazon Pharmacy. We deliver. And no, those were not raisins. Amazon Pharmacy. Healthcare just got less painful.
Finding ways to be financially savvy is a smart move, and knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream home or new ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
When it's this hot, you need a snack that's cool, fun, and delicious, like My Mochi ice cream. My Mochi is little scoops of ice cream and flavors like strawberry, mango, and cookies and cream wrapped in soft dough. It's creamy on the inside and chewy on the outside, like a sweet ice cream dumpling. My Mochi is gluten-free and only 70 calories apiece, the perfect guilt-free snack. This summer, grab a purple box of My Mochi ice cream and feel joyfully chill with the coolest treat around.